Hello and welcome to Stories from the Wilderness. Rather than a poem or a solemn reflection, today I want to do something a little different. I'd like to share with you a portion of one of the stories from my collection, A Clown for Orphans and Other Short Stories. The audio edition has just been completed and will soon be available in bookstores. We gathered 6 wonderful voices to bring these stories to life, and one slightly unhinged fellow who insisted on reading his favorite short story. Yes, that would be me. The story you'll hear a portion of today is called Grace. It's the voice of an elderly woman remembering the day in her younger days when she first encountered Jesus, nearly 2,000 years ago in the town of Magdala, by the Sea of Galilee. Let's begin. Grace, a short story.
I didn't know he would be coming to Magdala. I was at the loom that morning, the same way I had been every morning since I could remember. Twist, pull, tie off. The warp threads had gone dry from the summer heat, and I was dipping my fingers into a bowl of water to soften them when I heard the first shout from the road. "He's here!" A child's voice, high and bright, breaking the quiet of the morning like a jar slipping from a shelf. I froze, the thread in my hand trembling. My heart knew before my mind caught up. Jesus. It had been weeks since I climbed the hill outside Capernaum, since I stood in the dust and heard him speak of mercy, salt, light, and the kingdom of heaven. Weeks since I walked back home carrying his words like a hidden seed in the folds of my shawl, wondering if it would ever grow. I had not stopped thinking about him. Not when I fetched water, or ground barley, or combed the wool, or tended to Ema when she wept at night, calling for people who were gone. His words had followed me, stirring in my chest, unsettling the careful walls I had built to keep hope from hurting. Salt of the earth, light of the world, blessed are the poor in spirit. I set the shuttle down, pressing my palm against the rough wood of the loom, steadying myself. I heard more voices now. The buzz of a crowd gathering, the soft beat of sandals on the dirt road, the cries of children running ahead of their mothers. I wiped my hands on my apron, glanced at Ema. She was asleep, her breath thin and even, and stepped to the doorway. The street was alive with movement, people pressing toward the road, calling out to neighbours, lifting children onto shoulders, straining to see. The air smelled of dust and sweat, and the sharp tang of lake wind, the kind that always rose by mid-morning. I stepped into the courtyard, then to the gate, then to the street. I don't know what I thought I would see. Perhaps a prophet's stern and distant eyes looking past us towards something greater. Perhaps a man worn by the weight of crowds and questions, a healer tired of the needy hands reaching for him. What I saw was a man walking. That was all. He walked steady and unhurried, the press of people around him like water against a stone. His robe was dusty at the hem, and his hair caught the breeze, lifting away from his face. His eyes moved over the people, not past them. He saw them, each one. He saw me. I stopped breathing. For a moment the noise fell away, the voices, the movement, the clatter of a cart on the stones, all of it faded, and there was only the weight of his gaze, gentle and unyielding, seeing everything. I felt naked under that gaze, every fear, every hope, every hidden shame laid bare. I wanted to turn away, to hide, to pull my shawl over my head and disappear back into the safety of my quiet life. But I didn't. I stood there, my hands trembling, my breath caught in my chest, and I surrendered to Jesus' gaze. He paused just for a moment in the middle of the road, the crowd pressing close around him. A child clung to his hand, a woman touched the edge of his cloak, and still his eyes were on me. "Peace to you," Jesus said. His voice was not loud, but it carried, clear as water over stones, settling into the air around me, into me. I didn't know I was crying until I felt the tears on my cheeks, warm and silent. Peace. It was a single word, unadorned, and yet it opened something in me I hadn't known how to name. Peace. Not a word that softens the edges of a day, but the kind that takes hold of the night itself. Peace for the hours beside Ima's bed, for the years bent over a loom with nothing but my thoughts, for the long, thin fear that perhaps the Holy One had forgotten women like me. It entered me like breath, steady and clean, and in that moment, the world seemed to stop still. I swayed, sudden as a child learning to stand, and clung to the gate because my knees no longer knew what to do when heaven stepped this close. I wanted to say something, to thank him, to ask him who he truly was, to tell him I had heard him on the hill and that his words had not left me. But the words tangled in my throat. His eyes softened, and a small smile touched his lips, as if he knew, and then, as simply as he had come, he moved on, the crowd flowing around him, following, pressing close. The dust rose in the morning light, swirling around the feet of those who walked with him. I stood there long after they had passed, the streets slowly emptying as people returned to their homes, speaking in hushed voices, shaking their heads, wiping tears from their faces. Children skipped stones in the dust, women pulled shawls tighter around their shoulders, and men leaned on walking sticks watching the road where he had gone. I stood there, hand on the gate, tears drying on my cheeks, the words still echoing in me. Peace. I turned back toward the house, the loom, the life waiting for me. Nothing had changed, and yet everything I knew was transformed.
Captivating, isn't it? It makes you feel as if you are right there beside her. And the peace she received, it's the same peace still offered to us, here and now. Peace. Nothing around Grace had shifted, yet everything within her was transformed. May this glimpse of her story remind you that it is the same peace offered by Jesus today. Thank you for listening, and may peace be with you. The full audiobook of A Clown for Orphans and Other Short Stories will be available next week, but more than that, my hope is that these stories, whether on the page or spoken aloud, might remind you that peace, the peace of Christ, is still moving among us. And now may you walk in that peace, and may it meet you right where you are. Until next time, God bless.